listeners, Harika here, and I'm super excited to welcome you to UppTalk. If you're ready to learn and get your hands work wonders in the world of information technology, then you're in the right place. When I say UppTalk, we are not just another edtech company. Consider we are your learning partner committed to unlocking your full potential. Whether you're stepping into the world of technology for the first time or looking to advance your career, we provide top-tier, hands-on courses to build up your career. Let's take our first step towards learning here and explore it.
This one right, completed with errors. If we open this, what do we see? The error is what it says is attempt to access variable error log in mediation context, but it is not bound. This kind of error, if you get this kind of error, the first thing that you can check is that might be that the variable that you put here and the variable name might not be the same as the store step, whatever you are calling. The variable's context is not bound means when the store step is trying to execute, it is not able to find this error underscore log variable anywhere declared inside the studio assembly. But the thing is that, John, you added the variable name correctly. Then, when I looked at your report, you were basically using a report which is only pulling the active employees, the old one, you remember, which we created on. Understand? Guys, everyone just understand this. What is happening here is the integration is not getting any output out of the report, any inactive employees. When this step executes Workday out rest, it gets all active employees right. Then when you split it, do the validation. Here you are checking whether if there is any inactive employee or not. It is not getting any inactive employees. The flow of the program or flow of the integration doesn't come to this async mediation. That is why your cloud log variable is not getting initialized anywhere. Right? What I did was the easy workaround is I went into your Workday in here and I just updated your the demo report, AKG underscore demo report for us, and it worked perfectly. Now your question can be that in real time scenario, this kind of things might happen, right? Then how shall we handle? For that, always the best possible. Like best practices, always put a use the execute when step right. And let's say here in cloud log, you are having error underscore log. You are assigning the variable right. Before that, you can put an eval. Like this, you can put an eval and you can initialize a variable like something like, let's say, prop. Error count right. Eq. Props error count. Plus what? And then every time your program's flow hits, and you have to put it here or anywhere. Put it here or here, whatever. If you put the eval here, every time your program hits this particular section, their count gets added. And you can initialize the error count in the beginning after the start. Here is error count equals to 0. Initialize a variable is 0, the count variable is 0. And every time you are hitting this, you are incrementing the count by 1. Now, when you go to the store step, where you are actually writing the file, the log file, in the execute steps, when you can just simply write execute steps, when props your your error count. Greater than 0. If you save here, what happens here is this log file will only be created if there is an error. Otherwise, it will never get triggered. Did you get my point? I got. It should be good now. It looks like I just need to change the report that this thing is running. I have already changed that. I did change it and it did run it and the error is fixed now. If you go to this, if you look at the integration events again, you can see that after the error event, that is this one. See, we have the error. I ran it twice with different ways and it got completed. You don't have to worry about it. You can continue with it. I'll just remove this. And it's already deployed in the tenant. You don't have to worry. And similarly, like I will show you, there's a real time. You can see this. Another integration window, right? Another studio window opened in front of me. This is a live client environment. Here, as you can see here, it's an integration that I created where I am actually creating two separate log files. The particular client had this requirement that I want to have the successors separately, error log separate. I don't want them to be in a one log file. Here, what I'm doing is every time I'm doing a success, I'm using this property, account property. I'm increasing the count, 1. I'm using this count execute account in the execute steps. I'm using this, 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 I'm using this. This way also, you can handle that. Is it clear? I think I'm good. No, no, that's no problem. But will do, I think, rest of the guys, you can help Rodrigo out during your daytime about the cloud log if he has any issues. But Rodrigo, I would recommend you to just try your hands on the cloud log because in real time, most of the times, you will be using cloud log as the logging mechanism. Rest of the guys, I think let's remove the log component from the async mediation log. Just delete it. We have learned about logs. We will learn about other stuffs now. And we don't want to filter out the inactive employees. We want to take those inactive employees forward. We can do a route strategy between active versus inactive. Alright, Rodrigo, remove the put integration message as well. And guys, don't worry. I have the entire integration. Once we finish the course, I will share with you the the integration name, which has all the entire flow from the very beginning till the end, right? How we did the XML to CSV splitter route, and in next we will be learning about aggregates, launch parameters, attributes, and the sequence generator. I will share the CLAR file with you. That you know you have a live integration that uses all these components. Rodrigo, you just delete the send error as well because we are not filtering out the errors. We will not consider the inactive employees as errors in our case. Now we will take them forward. Now, what is this integration doing? It's splitting the data row by row and taking it forward. And you can remove the validate expression in Bell as well. The validate expression. Yes, where we are doing the validation. Now you can remove the async mediation also. Now go to the palette. And write out route. Just drag that route. The first one, drag and place it after the async mediation. And click on the strategy. You see there is a click on that. And go to the top third option. That pop-up is coming up, right? Click embed. We are going to do an embed strategy. The way we would did the validation, where the validate expression that the prop active and inactive. Same logic we will be using inside the route strategy. Now add another strategy. Similarly, click on the strategy. No. Click on the click. No. Click on the embed. Selected the strategy. Click on the embed. That embed icon inside strategy. See that embed icon. Click on that. On top of there is another pop-up. There is a click on that. Again, do add another one similarly. Click on that. You have created two choose routes. Now in one expression. And let's first add the expression. Let's first add the active expression. This one we will be using to identify the active employees. In the expression, you just select the flag active equals to 1 or whatever you have selected as the property for the active field. How will you get it? Root. I think it's on the evolve, right? Your property name is active status. Copy that the entire prop's active status. Basically, your property name. You're taking the property. Go to the choose route. Add that in the expression. And do equals to 1. And now before saving in the subroutes, right? Subroute section in the bottom half. Click on that. Just click on that. Change the name from subroute to active that we understand that this is the routing which is happening. Just write active. And for the alternate change, the alternate to inactive. And for the alternate change, the alternate to inactive, just rename it to inactive. It looks good. It's easily debuggable and it's readable. Now let's go back to the expression. Go back to the expression where we added in the route in the second field. See, click on the drop down to the right. Choose active. That means this expression will tell the route component to route to the active subroute. Similarly, do the same for the inactive one. I guess it's just the same. No. Rest of the guys. This is how you put a not equals to in MBL expression. And now route it to the inactive. Save it. Now put two swim lanes after this. Or to the right after this too. Because we will do two different types of processing for that. And in this processing, we will revisit one activity that we did. You can keep it. Another swim lane you can add. Just keep it outside the main swim lane. Just keep it outside. Keep it one on top of the other. And inside the swim lane, put an async mediation. And another one for the swim lane as well. Let's swim. Let's give a name to the swim lanes, like active employee processing or something whatever. And to denote that the swim lane is for active and the swim lane is for inactive. Don't believe this. There we go. Now route the active to the first async mediation and the inactive to the go to the subroute. There. You'll find that blue icon, drag and put it there. Connect it there. And see, right. Swim lane is nothing but a look and feel container. You don't wear your components with the swim lane. You do it with the actual components. Alright. What processing we will do? What we will do is we will call the gate workers web service by passing the employee ID that we are getting after the splitter. What is the Rodrigo? Go to the evil step where you are actually doing the assignment. Property value assignments. You have to pass this value inside your web service. And then after that, you have to add a Workday outsoak and then add an async mediation, which will give you the web service response. If you remember second day or third day of the training, did the gate workers web service, passing employee 480. And we got the response and I told you to save the response. And desktops. Do you have it? I think we did it with this one. Let's open this. Let's open. Click on the assembly. The assembly. Oh, I think it's in here actually. Go there. We want to do this. This is how your simulation will look like. Open the right. Click on the right step. The right step, this one. The right? What is the right step? That is not a right. That is a PI. The right. The right step. You see this XML here. Just copy that. And go to your current project. ROS activity. And in that project, in the async mediation, you add a right step and add this code, ML code. Right. You're doing correct. Go to the right. Message builder. Message builder and text, I guess. Remove that message content. Remove it. Because you don't want to take the message flow. Message that is flowing inside the studio assembly. You are actually overwriting it, using this right to pass this particular XML forward. We're getting my point. You passed it now. Fortruder. It's a hard-coded employee ID, right? But you don't want this employee ID to fire for the get workers request. You want it to be dynamic. You have to pass the employee ID, right? How do you pass it? Just paste the property name, employee ID from the eval. Do I have to copy it like? Just do. I have to put it like this, like employee ID. Just the same way what you did for. Just copy it. Go to the right instead of the 420. See, paste it. And before the props, put a @ symbol. The code right. And I think similar to what we did in past, printing the variable, the property values in log file. Right last day we did. Now save it. Save it. What it does is this. Will this code in the runtime, this property.employee will be replaced by whatever employee. The splitter is splitting that particular row. And if it is active, it will hit to this right step. And let's do the same thing for the inactive as well. You can just copy the right step. You don't have to drag it again. You copy the old. Take that, go to the right step. Right step, not the code. XML code on the top. That's in meditation. Just right click it. Right click copy. OP and just paste it here. That's easy. Can you do me a favor and just leave it a minute on the injection for the props, please? Go ahead. Are you finding any issues, Pablo? Or you want me to help you out? Or just let me know if you need. I just fall behind a little bit because I was getting the XML. I'm just declaring the variable right now. No problem. No problem. I'm just asking. I think we need to do the Workday out rest. No, rest is for consuming the last report for web services. We have to do a SOAP. It's a SOAP, not a result. Rest, go to the second tab. No, just copy paste. Now you have it. Have the assembly ready in the other window. Alright, just. And for inactives, we just copy the right, correct. Same thing, Same thing. Actually, I don't want to complicate it because you are new to this Workday. Let's do the same thing. I just want to give you a rehash of how Workday Web Services work, which we did in prior. You copy that Workday out so. Rodrigo, same thing. Right click, copy right here. When you have already done with no edit, it will be outside it. Workday also doesn't come. It's a separate component, just like async mediation. Paste it there. Do the same for inactive. In real-time scenario, in these cases you might be doing two separate processing for two different categories of routing, right? But here I don't want to complicate that much. Just I wanted to understand how the flow works, how you can utilize these individual components in your different use cases. Then, Palo, are you up to speed now or? I just added the out perfect. Now what we will do is we'll write the output of the web service, that is a web service response in the log file. How can we add it in a log file? How can we add it in the output? Do we need to add the log on the async mediation? We need to add the log after the workday out. What are you going to do? I need to add an async mediation. Yes. Go ahead, do it for both, right? Yes. And then here add a log, and inside that log, just add a text. We want the message. We want to see what the message is coming. Add another text. Bring one text on top of it, and then the text. You just write put a couple of enters, hit couple of enters, and the write active employees get workers response, and now say in the lower text, just you can put a dash or save it. Put a dash because the response will be big. I want to see it one by one because it will generate 25 rows of employees. Right? Just put hit another couple of enters. Just put a dash or star or whatever you feel like that in the log file. It is readable. Fine, save it. Copy the log file and paste it in the inactive section. Yes, paste. Paste it and change the text from active to inactive inside the log file. No, you have to click the log file by default. Your assembly properties will come up. Just change it to inactive. Now where the components? Save it where? Just connect the components. Now, if you want to have the pop-up the wiring you have on, you have to click the header bar of the using mediation. And you are missing the logging swim lane. You are not going to connect or economize the logging swim lane, the async mediation inside the logging swim lane with the route. Guys, I'll tell you from my experience when I was When I started learning like Studio, when I was building this integration, there has been times in the initial days I am running the integration, but I'm not getting the desired output. Then realized my some have missed the connection between some async mediation or some other component, right? And I was scratching my head and what is going on. Then I realized I missed an arrow. Best thing is, whenever you are adding a new component, just wear it with the previous one, then proceed to the next. I also got an error saying that before write that it was not getting the splitter, and it was because I was missing an R. Or I needed to do was just add the R here, right? I wouldn't want you to learn the hard way. Are we good guys still here? Posh, is there an easy way to know like what components must be put in async mediation? Well, it depends on what you are trying to achieve with the async mediation. Logging is for your own purpose unless and until you're using log for actually writing out log files, right? Which you will never do because whatever you are writing in the log file will generate in the server log, not in a separate output file. That is not very practical now, evil. Let's say you have to assign properties, change formats of the date, consume launch parameters, consume integration attributes, or let's say you have to consume sequence generator, right? In that case, evil is the way. Evil means inside evil. You will write imbel expressions where you are assigning things in the property, or you are using get reference or get reference attribute to get the attribute references from the integration system. These we will learn after this. Evil works like that. In case you have to trigger some validation, validate XP, the thing that we learned yesterday. It's not a standard that for this you need this, but you will understand as, and when you do more, create more and more integrations, but on a baseline, mostly inside an async mediation, you will be using either evals, or you will be using XSLTs, or you will be using validate expressions. Thank you. You're welcome. If you are good, then Rodrigo, let's deploy it. Let's go. Let's see what it returns. No, 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 no. Back, go back. You missed a basic thing. You have to include the source code. Otherwise, your changes will never get deployed. Finish. And don't worry about these things. The more and more you work, it will become a muscle memory kind of a thing. Become a habit. I guess we need to run it. Go to retrieve log files. Open the log second one. This one. The one that starts with server. Open. Scroll down. You see active employees. Get workers response. This is for employee John Chen. You can see the name formatted name in the second line of the XML code. Personal data name, legal name data. Johnson, yes, that is one row. If you come down, you'll have, I think, 25 rows for each. Here you see that the routing is working correctly. It is generating the actives as expected. Now do one thing, John. Sorry, Drigo. If you can go to your Workday Studio and copy that inactive string that you added in your text before the log. Go to the log, inactive section log, inact. Just copy this line. Copy this. Go back to log file. Open the log file. Search with it. Let's see. Just search with this. You should. That means your route is working as expected. It is generating. You with. I think we had John Seward as one of the inactive employees, inactive or retire, I guess. Here we are good. I got this error. Let's see. Pablo, if you can share your screen. I think there is one component but I don't know where it is. We'll find it out. It's good that we are getting errors. The more errors we get, the faster is the learning curve. Show me the error first. Error message. This is the error. The local of transfer call log file using an endpoint. You're calling log. Go to the studio. Oncolog file. Where is the log? Go to the local out in your swim lane at the top. Swim lane at the top. Click on that. It's what? Where is the log file? What is this endpoint leading to? Can you scroll? Show me the entire workspace. Show me is there any way that one is for the previous lesson and I deleted it and it's working on? Just don't delete it. Keep it. Just cut the wire between call report and call log file. I just put execute when. Let's do it. It's good. Shall we run it again? Let me try. Let's see. What you did, Pablo, you deleted the local in, which was like this. Local out was pointing to the store or the log file section. You deleted that, but you didn't update it here. This when the integration flow was hitting this component, this call log file, it was not able to find the component where it should route to. Go to the integration event. The first option, just relaunch it. Machine. Still processing. Just check the server log and see if I think it should be. All good, you got active, can just search with C word, AC word, AR. it will give you that. Inactive workers response section. What is the word? Suchorso suaradi. That one. Yes, just scroll to the left. You see the response in the below. Inactive employees get workers. Response at John Stewart 0. Active status 0. This is coming from the property values you printed in using log. After that, you can see this entire XML code. Write with the inactive employees that tag. The text you added on top, correct. Your integration is working fine. All right, great. Just show me the error once again, please. Integration failed. Local or transfer call store, same thing. Go to the studio call store. You just put a like, bypass it for now. Let's bypass it and just show me that. Show me your entire assembly. If you can scroll down a bit, scroll to the right, perfect. Just do a quick run, then repeat and then drop it down. You better continue doing everything. You're gonna do type thing. Of course, I'm going out. I think we're good, right? That should be a response, I think. She's mute. I could. Kosh, are you still there? I'm sorry. I was speaking on mute. Sorry again. Oh, sorry. What happened here is, I think you flipped. You wrote the text as inactive employees in the active section and vice versa. That is, but your integration is working as expected. You see inactive employees, you get John Chen, and I believe for Seward, ACWARD, I think it's John Seward. You will get, it will show up as active, but that's fine. Go to the message in the message builder. Go to the inactive. Go to your route strategy. Active. Write for the status. And what about the inactive? That's fine. Go to the inactive processing section. The log file in inactive. Go to the log over here. to the bottom one, bottom one. That's it, cool. Can you give me control? Show status is coming fine active. Is routing to active inactive. Is routing to inactive one. It should just be 0 and 1 coming out as values. Right? There will never be an all or empty string coming up for status. It shouldn't be. Can you just open the log file once again? The log file. You see here. For first name, John. Last name, status. You are using the report. That got your thing. I was able to understand. The column heading override XML alias for the report that I created was employee underscore ed, which is fine. First name fine. Last name it will be. Wait, it will be. Oh god, active active underscore status. Is it case sensitive when it tries to parse the XML? Yes, exactly. I have to put with the exact column heading XML alias. Now let's deploy it. Oh, my bad. In the meantime, can you just open the log file once again? John, I'm not able to see your toolbar. Guys, here you see when John printed the first name, John, last name, Chen, status, it's actually because the alias, the XML tag was not correct. It was not able to understand what is the status value of the status field. It's taking an entire string, right? That is why the route was not able to understand whether it's 0 or 1 the return. Getting the point? That is where it was generating a confusing output. I'll stop taking control if you can just run it again. I think this should fix it. You don't need to do that, John. You can just go to the events related action. You can just click on integration events. But let's see the logs now. What was happening is, I think, as you have selected not equals to 1, it was considering everything as inactive. Now you see the status field, status hyphen is 1 coming up properly. Alright, good. Thank you, no problem. Very interesting. Next concept, which is called aggregator right. As of now, we learned how to split data, how to route it based on the data that is coming up after the splitter. After splitter we added properties. We assign values to the properties. And based on those values of the properties, we did our routing. Now there are scenarios in real time where you have to merge the data of two separate smalls. Like we had to send the client an output file with certain set of data. They gave us a bunch of files, a bunch of fields that we need this. Then what when we started our analysis, we realized that there is no way we can send this data. We had to do data consuming one or us report. We tried other options. If we can do calculated fields jump from our primary business object to a related business object and somehow, but not all the fields. We were not able to pull the data of all the fields. What we had to do is we had to create two separate RAS reports. But we have to create a single file, single output file, in that case consuming two separate. Somehow, there has to be some way we can. We have to merge the output of two separate RAS reports, right? Or maybe let's say there can be a more complex scenario that you are getting a file from a third party, right? And that file has certain amount of data and your vendors. You have to send that data to a vendor system, but you have to append certain other fields, other data from your tenant. Let's say you have to send 25 fields. Out of that, 10 fields are coming from a different vendor. You have to take that, do a query in your data. Let's say you have to send a database tenant using a RAS report. Take that, merge both of them, and send to the endpoint. In those cases, aggregators is the component that you have to use. Basically, aggregator component basically merges two mediation messages into a single message. Mediation messages means whatever the message is flowing. For example, the current activity that you have to use, for example, the current activity that you did, that one inactive employees. In the mediation context, there are two messages that are flowing based on the routing strategy. Your log step is actually writing the log taking the mediation context messages for the active section as well as inactive section, that you can do it inside a log file. But you cannot take the server log file and send it out to a third party vendor. Let's say your vendor wants a proper XML file, right, with a structured data of the entire two sets, right? In those cases, you have to use aggregator component. And there are two major properties for aggregator, and which is very important. We have to understand this concept very well. One is force batch when there is a property called force batch when basically In this property, you can provide an embed expression which will convey the aggregator that when to put the file together and send it across. That means, let's say your message is flowing and hitting the aggregator. You have to tell them that me aggregator. You have to tell them that me aggregator. Now it's you have to go on collating the data, keep on collating it, and then finally batch it out, create, send it out. Force batch. When is a property with which you can tell your aggregator that now is the time to create the final output and send it to the next section of the next section of processing, be it a store component or be it a transformation component, whatever, and collate. When is the property with which you tell your the aggregator that you keep on collecting it? Collate. When is the collector using the embed expression? When you say that, let's say a flag, collate right. Collate equals to true. When collate is equals to true, aggregator will keep on collecting and put it in one bucket, one at a time. And when you pass the batch force batch and pass the embed expression when force batch is true, then the aggregator will realize that now I am done with the collating. Now I have to send it across like the entire XML file. Is this concept clear? Guys, yes, I will. I will show you what. It makes sense right now. It's just a general concept, right? Just a concept. As I said, this is active web service, which you guys did. This is an active web service. Let's say you're your business. A case demands that after the get workers, you want to collate everything in one single file. Here is the aggregator. Here is the property collate when I have before that. I have used this as a boolean aggregate.close and I am telling it that aggregate of aggregate.close is false. That means keep on collating and then force batch. When this is true, I will show you how I am managing it using a combination of evil here. You know this. I'm initiating it as false. Then, while I'm calling the aggregator, I'm putting it true. I will show you how I am doing this. But before that, I want you to understand whether the concept is clear between collate and for batch. When you're saying to keep collecting, it is like it is an array that will continue catching all the data that you send. Yes, kind of you think that we are pushing the values inside an array, and all right, it's collating the array and batches like all the values are done. Then you use the array and do whatever you want. All right, I see, and for every aggregator components, there are different strategy for batching, like whether it can be a size-based batch, like time-based batch. Most of the times, in the real-time scenario, you will do a size-based batching strategy, which means that this is this size strategy that you can see here. Let's I put it as -1 because I know that I have what 2025 employees data. But let's say you expect a huge file of maybe 50,000 workers or 100,000 workers, right? And you don't want the studio to generate one file with huge amount of data. Or maybe your endpoint, your vendor is saying that we can have this much of a limit to the individual files that you create. In that case, if you this size, batch strategy works very well. You can do a, let's say 100, right? If you put a 100, that means when the aggregator is finally doing the batching, that means after collection, it's now creating the final output. It will do the batching in lots of 100. Once it gets 100 messages done, it will create a file then for the next 100. Likewise, got my point. -1 will just generate a single file. If you are sure that it will not generate a massive amount of data, just use a -1. It will always create the entire XML in one file. Now, having said that, I will not make you jump into the activity directly. I will show you how it needs to be done because it's a bit complicated, but if you understand it, it's pretty simple. Here what I am doing. Don't bother about this. My report is being called. If you right-click and declaration in Workspace, it will take you to here. When the integration flow starts from here, initialization of variables, calling of report, the control comes here. It does the workday out rest, takes the output, then comes to the splitter. From the splitter, we are doing routing. We generate two separate streams of messages, one for active, one for inactive. But after the splitter, I have initialized a variable called aggregate. .close equals to false. That means when the message is flowing from splitter. Understand this. Aggregate.close, the aggregation flag is false. When the message is generated after the splitter, it's false. It goes through the route, the flag is still false. It hits the aggregator from here directly, both the stream of messages. I'm hitting it to the aggregator. It's still false. That means collate. When I have put it as when aggregator close, this flag is not equals to, it's a boolean. It's a boolean. That means it is false. Which makes it like when the collate, when that means you collate, it keep on collating. Let's take it row by row. First row, splitter suggests splitter. Splits it first row for, let's say honest employee records are going in from the splitter. The system checks the flag is false, moves ahead, hits the collator, here's the aggregator, sees the collate when I pass it as false. Collates. Then comes George, then Claudia, then Ariel, and for the entire batch, it's collating. Now the control comes back to the splitter. It doesn't have any other rows to split. The control goes back to here, and after this comes call output. Here I am doing the aggregate.close flag as true. This endpoint, this is actually pointing me to this local in. When it hits here, when the all splitting of all the row by row processing is done, the control comes from call report to call output. This calls this, and now the flag is true, and I'm passing that here. Now what the aggregator listens. Now it's understanding. Now the value of this flag is coming as true. That means now is the time to batch. Then I'm finally outputting it in the store file, is it? That's when you say stop listening, save it and send it to the store. In the log, right, you can create two separate flags as well. Like one flag for collating, one flag for batching. You select it here. collate equals to 2, batch equals to false. And do the other way around, collate equals to true, collate equals to false, batch equals to true. That way also you can play, or you can play with single flag like the way I did. I prefer playing with single flag, less number of variables, less number of headaches for me. I mean again, that is up to the developer who is building the integration. What concept wise? The concept is whenever you are doing the split, always your collation has to be false. Sorry, your collation has to be such a value that should tell the aggregator that you want to collate it. And when all the rows get splitted or all the processing is done, when the control goes back to your local out. Here you are doing it. You are just flipping the flag that and pass that value here in the force batch. Is that understood? Yes, I get it and I know it's a bit complicated, but if you do it one or twice, couple of scenarios, different integrations, it will become very smooth. What about the others? That makes sense. Shall we work on this? Jump on the aggregator. Try our hands on this. Scroll to the right. We'll take it step by step. Let's first add the aggregator. With for no, but I on the stream lanes. On which one? What are we aggregating here? The messages which is coming from the active employee processing section and the inactive employees. You have to put it after this to the right after right outside. Just put it outside of the swim lanes. Scroll to the right. And here just select. Let's select the size strategy and just click on that. Click on the aggregator component. Just click on the aggregator component. Now hover on this. Go to the second option on the pop-up. That is the take it once more. Here, just click on that. Now you selected the size strategy. Put the batch size as -1. Click on the size strategy. Size strategy, click on that. Put the batch as -1 because we are going to generate a single file and now again go to the do same thing again. Click on that now. Over to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, the 1, 6 option. Click on that. Go to the right. Scroll to the right. This is your XML content collator. What is this? This is nothing, but you are telling the aggregator that what strategy you are supposed to use in terms of collating the data. Just because you are sending an XML out, XML input, you have to select the XML content collator. Now in the properties you write put a like what less than symbol, less than not less than the normal that one put something called aggregate with capital or anything. This is nothing, but this is a header and footer. Your entire XML will be collated within this. took smell tags, aggregate, and just copy the same. It's like smell begin tag. And in the footer, you are putting the smell end tag. Put it and put a slash in front of put a slash in the beginning. Both. Now no on the. In XML your begin tag. If your begin tag is an end tag. Between these two parentheses, a end tag means same thing with a front slash at the beginning. Oh, this is the open in tag. Open exactly open tag and begin tag and end tag. Well, your work in the XML, content collator is done now. We'll go to the, let's keep the aggregator as it is now. Go to the splitter, the eval after the splitter and this one. Go to the expression. Here we are setting up the flag. Just add an expression. Just add a property props. Put something aggregate or some whatever. Anything will do. It's just the name of the property. It doesn't have to be accurate. Whatever you feel like, you can add a property and assign it as false equals to false. Guys in while expressions, or I think it's mostly for other programming language, a single equals to means you are assigning the value. Double equals to, it means that you are equating. Got it. Now let's go to the top. Let's add a local out local. Let's add a local out outside the swing lane or inside, wherever you want. Name it. Call aggregator. Now where? The log file. Connect the log file with the aggregator. Which log file? The local out. In the swim lane in the integration, flow swim lane in the top where you are defining. In the top, this one. Just connect the last one. Last one is any case. 1 equals to 2. It will not fire. Your local out is done in the local out. In the call aggregator local out, you have to flip the variable. Go to the parameters. Just add the plus, click on the plus button, and put the same name, same property name which you used in the eval after the splitter, the one that we are initializing as false. Just the property name, just the name. We don't need the props here, just aggregate and in the value mark it as true. What we are doing is we initialize it as false. When all the data gets collated, when we are going to call the aggregator, finally we are flipping it as true. Got it. Now add a local in before the aggregator. That is the trigger when to tell them it's on right. Yes, yes. Now add a local in towards close to the aggregator. Close to the aggregator. Call it aggregator. No. We don't need to add it. No. Just give it a name. Go to comment tab, call it aggregator. I think we have a say something with the same name. Keep it as aggregator _1 or something. Give the name as aggregator1 or _1, whatever. Anything will do. Now in the local out call aggregator. You see the local out. I think it is a red dot. That means there is an error. Y endpoint is not selected. Go to that and select. It's not coming. I think you have to save first. You have to hit save. Click on cancel. Hit on save. Click on save saved now. Now try it again. Aggregator _1. That's done. Now scroll to the right. Bring that aggregator _1 close to your actual aggregator component. Just bring it close. And now join the local in with the aggregator component. Also join the two async mediations which you can see to your left. This one, the just join. Fine, and then go to the aggregator component now. Now we have initialized our var properties, our flags the aggregate. Click on the aggregator. Click on that. No, click outside again. Click on that. Just click on it. You see the Properties tab right in below in collate when and force batch when. You can see that. Here you have to pass the flag values. Put an exclamation mark that is not equals to and your variable that you created in your eval. No. Just an exclamation mark. It's a boolean, just an exclamation mark. We'll do that way. And just paste it same in the force batch when. Save. Understand what you are doing, Pablo. After the splitter, you are initializing the variable, this variable, as false. Then it is going in false. It hits the messages hits the aggregator, the call aggregator. It is getting collate when, as for the value is false. Right? It suffices the criteria of collate when it's getting collated. Then, after all the processing, when it goes back to the call aggregator component in your integration flow. Click on that. Where call aggregator local out call. Here you are. Just go to the parameters. Here you are flipping it as true. Now come back to the aggregator component, the aggregator, the below one, the actual aggregator component. Now that you have flipped it to true the force batch, when this criteria is now true, now it batches. That's when you tell that collation is done. Now it's time to go ahead. Now let's put an async mediation after the aggregator and let's turn out a store the output and add a store step. Just put a title, give it a title. No, let's keep it as it is. The title there, inside the property below, where you put the name of the file name. Scroll down, come down. You see that I just put a file name like something aggregated output, dot smell or something like that. Click, make the create document reference as true. Save it. Connect the aggregator with the async mediation. Save it. Rest of the people, are you good for? Pablo, just let's deploy it and see how it is coming up. The check the output files. Because you have used store step, this your output XML has generated. Open this. Here you see on top, go to the top. You see aggregate the begin tag on top. Inside the XML content collator, you specify this begin tag and end tag. Your entire data is coming inside this block. For each row, if you go up and click on the envelope, the next child tag to the aggregate the minus button. Click on that. That is one row. You are getting the get response, get workers response. One from both the streams, like the active employee section, inactive employee section, and you are collating all together. One of each of this minus. It is one record, right? One record, one employee record. I see, nice. And within that, there are multiple. Within each record, there are multiple sections like, if you take one, let's analyze the first one. You see the request reference. Request reference the response filter. Now, if you just scroll down a bit in the worker scroll, give me control. I'm requesting control Pablo. This tag, right? If you scroll up, let me scroll up. Aggregate is a root. This is the child. That is a first row, then the body. What is this about? Get workers response. What is the version 4.2? What is the worker reference that we provided? Remember, inside the write step, we passed at the rate within curly brackets. Props, employee ID that has been translated here. This is a response. This is a request. We sent to and create using that property. What was there any response filter? Nothing. Whatever is default page 1 count 1. What was the response group? Remember, in the activity 3 in the beginning of the class, we included only this in personal information, employment information, qualifications. Now from here, this WD worker, this is from where the actual data begins. I think I collapsed it. Let me click that. Can I got it? Fine, you see now inside that worker data block, the worker ID, the worker user ID, then comes worker's personal data, name data, the legal name data, the different country reference codes, the first name, last name, and on and forth. After that comes a personal information, the country specific information, then, like the date of birth, the licenses, all the data that you are getting out of the get workers response. And that is happening row by row. It's, oh God, it's too difficult. And on this result, there are only active employees or we have the mix. No, it will have both because we are aggregating both. Right, Dua? I'll stop control. Do a control F on this and type SEWARD SEWARD. Control SEWARD. You see this fellow's J SEWARD. He was coming, he's an inactive employee. Right? It was coming in the inactive sections in the when we looked at the log file. Right? Both the active employees and the terminator employees all are combined in one file. And in the case that we only want, for example, the active employees, we avoid this connection right. In that case, if you don't want, then you can remove it. You just don't add it here, don't connect it to the aggregator. Good, is it clear? The clear, good, all good. My XML came a little different because I think I used a different one, but it comes good. I mean, got everything. I think most of the times what happens is XML. If the XML structure of the XML is not right, then you have to go and look into that begin tag and end tag that we gave right in the XML message content collator in the comment tab header text and footer text. If that tag is wrong, then the XML file will not be proper, right? Because for a well-formed XM, all the tags have to have a correspond. All the begin tags need to have a corresponding end tag. And it has to be in a specific syntax. Syntax is the within the brackets greater than less than you have the begin tag and same for the end tag, but with a front slash in the beginning. You have to ensure that. Alright, good. Guys, what do you think? Studio is easy, difficult. As of now, I feel like it's kind of programming, but with some interface helpers. All you need to do is just kind of learn what you need to actually use and where to put things exactly where it goes. Conceptually, it's nothing but any other programming language, right? You have looping, you have validations, you have error handling, you have like splitting, aggregating data. Everything is similar to any other basic programming language that you can think of. But the thing that why it's easy, yet it's difficult. Easy because you have a graphical representation, kind of you can see it in front. That this is how the flow is going in. Otherwise, in other traditional languages, for procedure calls and all those stuff, it's all in the code, right? It's easy to pick up. And but the difficult part of it is you have to know that you know what component to use, what not to use. Or it's like small mistakes can be there, like if you have missed a connect, like the wire right in connecting components, some error might come up. It's not something. It's something that the more you do, the more you continue working on it. It helps. And again, that is applicable for any programming language. Right. The more you practice, more you code, the better you get. If we are good in with this, and I want you to everyone to finish till this, the reason why I am not creating, not telling you, create a new Workday assembly every time for every activity. I want everyone to all the using, all the different components. That is why I put the entire master activity, broken it down into pieces. Because unless and until you do something hands on in studio, only theory, only like do this, do. That doesn't make sense. And one question, for example, I mean in this part in the let me get it to this evaluate right. In these expressions, for example, if I want, let me check one that is easy to understand. If I want this one ethnicity reference, I just declared here, right? And you have to traverse it. Let me show you. Let me share my screen. Pablo, like property values, the best way to go is you take this. This is my studio here, right? Here I am doing the report call. I am calling the report. You see here after the report call, it is actually this call report. Then I am doing the call web service prep. After the report call, you see I have added a log file. How I do it is, once the report is called right, it will generate a data like this, WDD supervisory or the job posting, whether external, internal, like every time, report data and report entry. You see report data is your root, report entry is your individual rows, right? For example, here I am getting 2 rows. Report data is your root. You can see on top, the root is populating. Report entry is your child. When you print out the entire XML inside a log file and format in Notepad, plus or oxygen, you understand that. What is the hierarchy of the nodes? Parent, then its child, on and forth. Now let's say you want to assign the reference ID. Simple you do is you see. Let's take this example. You see where is my employee ID? It's after report entry. Then there is another group called worker group. Then there is employee ID. Let's say for example this reference ID right. It's coming after report data, then report entry, then reference ID. But let's take this example. This is not the actual good example. Let's take this slide job, posted externally or internally, this particular flag. If you want to assign the value, you just need to see that. What is how the X and is traversing. It's like a nested logic, right? You have to go from report entry, then you have to pick job posted internally. If there is another parent node before job posted internally, then you have to traverse report entry, then that parent node, then that job. My XML had a worker group. After that, the employee is coming up. That way you have to assign it, not all. Always take your XML, put it in your screen, look at how the parent child is coming up and traverse. Go deep into it to that particular field element. You yes got it? Some other examples is not a good one and this S1. Again, it's also pretty straightforward. Here as example, this is my first name, last name, email active status. All these are falling under the report entry, right? Based on how the custom report is structured. But this integration you see, the employee is coming, employee is parent, is worker group, then report entry is the parent plus one. You have to understand this. If you write here instead of putting the worker group, if you delete it from here, this will not return any data. And this has happened to me many times, where I have somehow by mistake missed the nested hierarchy of the X and I'm not getting any data. I keep eye on, need to go into actual development. I would suggest, I am not pretty sure how much good is Notepad++ is, but I use this tool which is called Oxygen. Here, if you just put your mouse on any particular element, data element, right? It's a job posting title. On top, you see this, it will give you the flow. You have to go from report data to report entry. Then you have the job posting title or whether it's a strategic hire, right? For example, strategic hire comes after report entry. There is its separate parent is there or there's one job. It shows you this is the parent. If you keep your cursor here, it will show you that this parent block starts from here, ends in here. Within that you have these many fields. If you have to take the primary practice area, you have to traverse from report data, report, entry, job requisition, additional data, then the primary practice area. You cannot have it after report entry because your MBIL expression will not understand that. Because what in behind this is what it is doing. Your MBIL expression is using this particular access path, this slash, this. It is using that X path and it's actually traversing throughout this XML to identify that value, whether the strategic hire is 1 or 0. If you put the traverse path, wrong, then definitely it will not reach. It will never reach here, right, because it doesn't exist. It's not the correct one. Exactly good. I would recommend to get an Oxygen tool. It's pretty useful and you can run it here. Whenever you are writing complex Excel, what I do is I write it here, test it here, then I take it to the studio. But again, I think I use this. There might be other tools as well, integration attributes, maps, launch parameter, sequence generators. Why club these together? These are something that you pull from outside of the integration system, do something, use it, and then ultimately using the output of your studio. Why is Integration attribute is something that you configure at the integration system level. You create the service inside your studio, but you configure it in outside in your tenant and you consume that. Same goes for maps, for example, for attribute right. I think John came up with a very interesting question a couple of days back about that when we are bypassing the components, right, doing 1 equals to 2. He mentioned that. Can we do something like have a parameter or attribute which we can use? That's a very good use case because let's say you want you have created a log step for your testing purpose and you don't have to do it you don't want to remove it. You can do 1 equals to 2. But again now, if you want to do some testing on the integration system, you have to go into the studio. Remove that 1 equals to 2 that the log generators log file as a step. But you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that, well, it shouldn't. It shouldn't fire in production, but it should fire in other instances, non-production instances. That is a very good use case of attribute. What you can do is you can configure an attribute, let's say skip, right? You can, let's say, call that attribute skip. You make sure you configure it as skip equals to y. If it's all the non-production environments, skip equals to n for production. Sorry, the other way around, skip equals to no for non-production environment and skip equals to yes for production environment. Workday provides you that capability to configure your integration value attribute values based on your environment. There is a field called REST, environment REST, some restriction for environment or something like that, where you can select from the drop down that these are the environment's implementation preview sandbox. I want this attribute value to be this for production. I want this attribute value to be this. This is a use case which you can. It's a very useful and very like a common feature. In real-time scenarios, you will get ample opportunities to use attributes or maps. And most of the time you will configure those attributes, those things in as attributes where you want to avoid hard coding in the code. For example, let's say you want to generate a report or do some processing based on for these particular regions. Let's say EMEA, APAC, you can do that in your code itself, right? You can do it in Evil as well. You can write if else clause in evaluate expressions, but you have to hard code that. If region is happy, don't do this. If region is APAC, do this. Tomorrow, let's say, some because of some change in business rules, APME is replaced by latem right. In that case, what you have to do? You have to go into the code, open the Studio Assembly, change the code, test it again, do degradation testing and all, and then deploy it. But if you have an attribute, you don't need a studio expert to go in and change it. Anyone can open the integration system. Just change the attribute from AppName to a pack. Along with that, these are the two use cases I said, and there can be other similar use cases as well. That is attributes. Again, launch parameters is pretty simple. Let's say you want to run a report as of a certain date, or you want to pass certain parameter values that now this report should fetch only these data of this country, this region, this cost center. Right? You can enable. You can go to the prompt section of your custom report. Enable the prompt value. But how do you make Studio Assembly understand that this is a launch parameter? Then if you need that launch parameter, if you have to pass it to the report, how do you do that? Because your report, when your Studio integration runs, it is actually running. The report via the integration system is running, calling the report from the Studio. There has to be a way that you have to pass that launch parameters to your report from inside the Studio, right? There comes the concept of how we can use launch parameters using eval expressions and consume it, pass it in the worker rest, not worker rest, work day out rest, and get the necessary results. That is, launch parameters and sequence generators are again. Let's say you are sending an output file to your vendor 5 times a day and you want to give a certain date, timestamp, hour, minute, second, and you want to add a sequence like the first day of the sequence 1. The first run will be sequence 1 and corresponding runs will go on sequence 2, 3, 4 that your endpoint vendor system can understand. This is the first, sequence is the second. Is a thought like that? How you configure sequence generator service in Studio, how you can configure that in the integration system, how you can use that to give the output file, to create the output file name using the sequence, as well as the date timestamp parameter. That is all about what we will study in this sequence generator section. You go to Workday in and inside Workday in component, you go to Services tab. In the Services tab, you see these. You have used this report service. Similarly, if you go to the first option, it's called the attribute map service. When you click on that, it asks you to give a name. It's like a test attribute key. If you select it, let's say there are different types of attribute tests: simple type, reference type, e-min enumeration type. Mostly you will use either simple type or reference type. Simple type is nothing but a text attribute. For example, int. In this case, let's say escape equals to yes, escape equals to no. You have to use a reference. Simple type attribute, right? You put the name of the attribute here and put the type as either Boolean, date, number, text, whatever. Let's say you want to have the reference type attribute, right? Reference type attribute is nothing, but it gives you it. It lets you select an attribute which is of a type graph. Graph is nothing but class report. Let's say cost center, right? Cost center is an element in Workday. If you, let's say, your requirement is that you have to pass certain attribute related to cost center, 2 ways to do it. You select it as use it. You select text type attribute, put it cost center, and the type you put text. And while configuring it in from the front end, that is that your tenant, you type in what is the cost center. A cost center is, let's say, that's a Bangalore. Right, Bangalore is a cost center, but that is a text. Tomorrow, if there is no such, if the name of the Bangalore cost center changes to, let's say, Bengaluru, then you have to change it in the text, right in the attribute, to make it even smarter. This option comes up which is called the reference type. If you use the reference type from the front end, you will not get a text field. You don't have to key in the cost center name. You will get a prompt which will. You can click on that. it will generate all the different types of different cost centers. That is configured in your tenant. You just have to select it. Tomorrow, if the name of the cost center of changes from Bangalore to Bengaluru, you don't have to make any change at all because your studio is not taking that text name of the cost center but the Workday reference of that cost center. You don't have to be able to get a text name of the cost center. Got my point? Makes sense. Yes. And then, just in case that you want to call the entire integration for another report right or to trigger it, let's say you take the cost center right, either as a text or a reference. Take the cost center. Let's say this is an attribute cost center. Right cost center. This is the syntax instance get attribute. You have to pass the attribute name. Let's say the attribute name is cost center. This syntax is for the attribute text. If it's a reference type, I think the syntax is get attribute reference, something called get attribute reference. Let's say you call it. That means this attribute value gets stored in this property and you can use this property in your report prompt. Let's say you want to run the report only for this particular cost center, right? You know for which. What is the attribute for this attribute value? And you store the attribute value in your property. And you can pass that attribute value to your report as an input parameter. That is where it helps. Or maybe, for example, you want to use the attribute value to toggle some processing. For example, here I use this right, bypass like skip. Skip equals to y. If it's skip equals to y, this section will not. That is the way you can handle it. We will do hands-on on this and we will definitely look into it and see how it functions on Monday, and we will also look at launch parameters and sequence generator and move on with it. Fine guys. In that case, we'll close it here and meet on Monday. Have a great weekend ahead, you. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel. For more information, contact us sales@upptalk.com.